Welcome, everyone. Hello. I'm Shauna Harper. I'm the CEO of WeBC. Before we begin, I'd like to first acknowledge that WeBC is situated on the traditional and ancestral unceded territory of the Syilx Okanagan people in what today is referred to as Kelowna. We'd like to pay our respects to the elders, both past and present, as well as to the Indigenous people in this room, as well as throughout the province in the different rooms in the 6 other events that we're hosting. Thank you for joining us, and your traditions, ways of knowing have contributed to many different innovations of science, technology, engineering, mathematics, and of course, entrepreneurship. So thank you so much for sharing your land as we get to live, work, and play on your land as well as your ancestors' lands. So thank you. So through the power of technology, we are connecting Kelowna to our 6 other communities that are hosting this event. I feel privileged to be the CEO that gets to stand up here in this moment when we have events right now in Vancouver, in Courtenay, in Victoria, in Kamloops, who am I forgetting? Cranbrook, and Prince George, close to my heart, Prince George. Welcome, welcome to the online celebration. And if you're joining us directly online because one of our events was sold out in your community, or because you're from one of the 193 communities that we serve, welcome as well. Thank you. From the power of technology, you can all join us today. So WeBC is federally funded through Pacific Economic Development, PacificCan, to serve the entire province. That's why it was so important for us to make sure that this event included the entire province. And what we do is we help women start and grow businesses through loans, advisory, skills development, and of course, what we're here today, mentorship. And when I say the entire province, you heard me right if you kind of were like, wow, 193 unique communities. I had our team check that because I was like, 193 communities? And they're like, yeah, that number's correct. We have a lot of unique communities throughout British Columbia. So WeBC received core funding over the last 28 years through PacificCan, what used to be called WD. But additionally, another thing we're celebrating is that the last 4 years, we've actually received project funding from the Women's Entrepreneurship Strategy Fund. And we were able to run a project for the last 4 years that was called the Enhancing the Mosaic of Women. Internally, we called it MWE for short, which enabled us to increase the diversity as well as increase our reach into the rural and remote communities and into those 193 communities that we do serve. And this program wraps up the end of March, and I'm so proud to say that through that funding, we were able to serve almost 16,000 women across BC. So, yeah. So thank you to the federal government for your trust in us as a development lender, as a service provider, and for giving that additional top-up funding for that project to be able to happen. On the ground, I could not move forward with thanking PacificCan and obviously the organization without thanking some of the people that we get to work directly with. Candace Morrison from Kelowna, I know you're no longer on our project, but we consider you a lifetime champion for us in the work that you've done with what was WEC before and now WeBC. Thank you so much for your championship. And now on the ground in Vancouver, Trevor Todd, Helen Galvanick, Bernadette Lee, Dudley Wong. You are the Vancouver PacificCan members that really handhold our staff as we navigate the funding pocket that we're in, and thank you so much for your continued support. So today we are here to celebrate the incredible community of mentors and mentees. It was 15 years ago that we began this program, actually on a pocket of provincial funding. So the province initially wanted a report created that was about women transitioning into self-employment and how mentoring would help them. Those of you, Laurel Douglas is here with us today. There she is. Hello, Laurel. Who many of you know, and many of you throughout all the communities obviously know Laurel. It was when she was the CEO of the organization that they were asked to create this report. And through this report, it showed that helping women through mentorship would be really valuable for their business. And so it ended up going from that report to then funding our first group of peer mentors, and then later into our one-on-one mentors. Laurel shot a video for us that we're just actually uploading to YouTube that is on there after this event is done, that shares more of the legacy and the history part of the setup of our mentorship program, and really the people behind the organizations. Some of those ministries don't even exist anymore, but those people that made it happen, we really celebrate you and thank you for the hard work it took to initially, when something hasn't been done before, it is much harder to get it recognized. And so thank you to the province for initially creating and funding that first group for peer mentoring, for us to really realize the power of peer mentoring and supporting, and how vital it was to supporting women in business. So fast forward today, 15 years later, we looked at our stats and we have served over 2,400 women in our mentoring program. And it's through this mentoring program that we now have, the first two that we initially worked on, the peer mentoring, which is peer groups and circles. Groups of usually 8 women come together with a facilitator. And then the one-on-one that we had, which is obviously what it sounds like, one-on-one, a mentor, mentoring a woman business owner. But we also have one more that is a part of our mentoring group, and it is the Taking the Stage mentoring group. And that's similar to the peer mentoring, but focuses on public speaking, presence, having conviction when you speak, and having the ability to speak about your business and hopefully eventually take the stage. We collect a lot of data from all of our mentoring and all of our programming, actually, being government funded. The one piece that we, the stat that I think we're the most proud of is the one that talks about closing the confidence gap. Prior to participating, we survey our mentees, and they say that 59%, and the 59% has gone up from the 39 that it was, not too long ago. So we were super excited to hear that 59% of the women that start our program feel confident in their skills, their business skills. But what is interesting is post the mentoring circles that they take, or the one-on-one, or the taking the stage, that number jumps to 97% of the mentees that finish the program feel about their confidence in their business skills. And this is something that when women have, when we help to close that confidence gap, we help to build and drive more businesses successfully to help us grow our economy. And more importantly to that stat, I look at it as, it also means that we've connected them to a circle and a community of other women who are going through similar either stages or a little bit further ahead, or introduce them into a circle of stages that there's some women behind them that they can also help. And so today, what you're going to hear in your local communities are some of these incredible stories. Here in Kelowna, we have some chairs lined up for our panel that I know are waiting to speak. And you're going to hear the local stories in each and every one of those local communities that we have over 30 mentors and mentees sharing kind of what their stories are, what are some of the impact mentoring has meant to them and their business, what has mentoring meant to them, so some of them are mentors, not just mentees. And while we were doing this, I realized there's actually a collective story. Being a province of entrepreneurs, and really our entrepreneurial rate is high, we wanted to make sure that we brought that into this room too, and into this celebration. So as much as it's collective kind of stories that you'll hear in your community today, what I wanted to share, and our team thought was important in part of the celebration, was to share with you a video right now, if you can indulge me in a few more minutes of your time, a story, the collective stories of mentors throughout BC and mentees throughout BC, and the impact mentoring has had. So, okay.
I never thought of myself as an entrepreneur until about a year and a half ago, because it kept getting drilled into my head that I was, and I had been for a really long time. The idea about this bakery came about in 2008, just when there was this fun recession happening. What I've come to understand through this whole journey is entrepreneurs, they must be collaborative. I think people minimize what mentorship is. We live in a society where we don't tend to ask those that came before us for their knowledge. We are so busy chasing to become something that we forget that somebody's already that. And why aren't we seeking their knowledge and really learning from them?
You know, in the early stages when the mentoring program was first launched, it was more difficult than it was today. There were financial institutions that still required a husband's signature on loan applications.
In the early days, women were really looking for a place to get the information when it came to doing business.
There was just very little in terms of support. I thought it was crazy. And actually a lot of my family and friends thought I was crazy that I was going to leave this high-paying job with a pension and benefits.
I had this vision for myself, but the process of trying to get from point A to point B was just going so slow.
When you're on your own, your imposter syndrome and your negative self-talk, it can take over.
I know a lot of people say, oh, hard work, but there comes a point where you just want to crawl under the pillow, right?
Sometimes all you need is someone to say a word to kind of snap you out of that.
The mentoring program really filled a gap of how, with the use of volunteers, could WeBC reach more women more effectively.
We were in this cave, and to all of a sudden find this group here in Prince George was unheard of. We had very, very little in terms of support, especially up in northern BC. All of a sudden I felt like I wasn't alone and I wasn't in the dark.
Receiving mentorship support from WeBC allows women to have a ground network that is multifaceted. You may get selected to be with one mentor, but that mentor is connected to a whole host of mentors, and it's tailored. It's tailored to who needs what information when they need it. The ripple effect of mentorship is found within WeBC's mentorship pool, but it's also seen within the communities that these women are doing their businesses. A couple of the women that I mentored are now mentors. I think it's more than ripples, it's more like waves. They just keep getting bigger and bigger and bigger rather than dissipating.
Impacting not only the leaders in our community, but also the aspiring leaders. So we need to continue this mentorship program, continue the legacy of building for the community and helping everyone become stronger overall.
I do strongly believe that the need for mentorship doesn't go away. There's always a challenge that we face as a business owner.
There is still so much more that we could do, and we need to keep that ball rolling. We need to continue to grow together.
Businesses grow, communities grow, economies grow when women are supported in business.
We have a couple of generations of people coming, so the more mentorship we have now, the more successful we all will be in the future.
We grow
Together.
Oh, what did you think? Our team was so moved when we saw the finished video. First from the flashback photos, thank you Laurel for sending those in, and then the stories of our mentors and mentees sharing their impact. Thank you for sharing your stories. I know you're all over the province. Just watching this video really reminds us why we continue to do this work and continue to search for the funding to continue the program. Our mentees facilitate the conversation, and our mentees show up to learn from each other, lean on each other, and the mentees also oftentimes borrow the wisdom in the room, but also share theirs as well. Our mentees come in, could be their first business, but many of them are not new to life. And so it's in circles that they also realize what some of the expertise that they bring in when they're helping the other people in their circle. And a part of this confidence that they end up seeing is oftentimes they might have to borrow it or find it in themselves, maybe discover it and grow it. And it feels a little bit like a quote that I've shared with my team before, and one that I absolutely love, about standing on the shoulders of giants. I use this quote often because I feel I'm often standing on the shoulders of giants, and this quote goes on to say, standing on shoulders of giants, and you can see further. And I know this because I stand before you here today as the CEO that gets to celebrate 15 years with our team. I've been here a year of the 15. And so I am definitely standing on shoulders of giants like Laurel Douglas, who seeded the program with her team at the time, who got the province to say, yes, we're going to invest in this to see if this is something that is valuable to women entrepreneurs. I'm standing on the shoulders of giants of Jill Earthy, who led the organization through the pandemic, and the team that rallied around her. For the first time, we had that had the project stable funding that we were able to then see kind of how much we could grow our mentorship program. So thank you so much to all the giants that I've been able to stand on, and our team has been able to stand on to be able to celebrate 15 years here. I love what Tara says in the in the video. She's the ambassador from Victoria. And she says it's more than ripples, it's a wave. And the wave she's talking about, and I think of our We Grow Together, you hopefully have caught that phrase somewhere while walking in, whether on a leaf, on the invitation, on your name tag, wherever you see it, We Grow Together. It's not just a fun, hashtag or marketing catchphrase, although a very good marketing catchphrase. You see, standing before you here is someone, myself. I was a mentee in the Taking the Stage program. I was already a one-on-one mentor. I had no problem speaking to one person, but usually any group larger than 3, I was like, I'm out of here. And so the Taking the Stage program came to Prince George and was subsidized by Northern Development, and I was one of the people in it. And the voice that you see here, then later on, because I developed my leadership voice, I then raised my hand to be a peer mentor, then raised my hand to be a facilitator for the Taking the Stage, and then I promised myself I would not get emotional here. Okay, that being able to continue to grow, not just my business, but ripple into and wave into the community. Because you see, the impact of mentoring program is not linear. It is not, I support one mentee and that one business survives and does well. Like you saw the stat where 95% of the businesses through COVID that went through our mentorship program are still around. It is exponential impact. When we give skills and tools to women business owners, when we surround them with a community that believes in them, when we take them through our mentorship program, we are creating a wave. It isn't just the 4 programs that I facilitated with the 20 to 25, it's all the other stuff. The organic mentoring that I do when I reach out to someone to say, hey, have you heard about WeBC? Hey, I have 2 minutes. Is there something, things don't look okay today. That's the kind of stuff that is the biggest win for our economy. When we think about the power of one person that we have put through the program and the ripple effect when we empower voices of women entrepreneurs, they're not just leading their businesses and providing a job initially for themselves. They're becoming leaders in their communities. And we start to develop the advocates and leaders and champions. So you think about that number I gave you of 2,400 mentees that have been through our program. Each year we have about 100 mentors that raise their hand to be on our Rolodex to get, called in depending on what need we need, because we hand match our mentors to our mentees. All of those, we submit metrics all the time for funding, but I constantly remind our team that we're not in the business of increasing metrics, we're in the business of working with one-on-one people that come to us that need the support and connecting them, like Tara said, into this network of incredible women and men that are championing women entrepreneurs throughout our community. So thank you, Pacific Can, for helping us to create that wave, especially over the last 4 years. We know now more than ever that mentorship needs to be a part of our core, needs to be a funded project, needs to be however you want to fund it, needs to be a part of it. And also thank you to some of our other partners, like the Discovery Foundation, that over the last 2 years did a specific mentorship program for tech-enabled businesses, for Van City, for specifically helping their clients come through our peer mentoring groups as well. So thank you all that have contributed to mentoring programs and providing the funding so that they can continue. Now, it's really important, I think, to take a moment just to touch upon why gendered lens support still needs to be around. I get asked this all the time, no matter which community I go into. The impact of WeBC over the last 28 years, serving just women entrepreneurs, $82 million of both our own financing directly, as well as leverage financing, has gone into hands of women entrepreneurs throughout BC, so 82 million. And that 82 million has translated into, just want to make sure I get this number right again, 2.45 billion into the economic activity into this province. I had my team check that number too, because I was like, that is a really, really large number, 2.5, almost. And also created and maintained over 3,600 jobs in BC. And so I think, okay, those numbers alone should be the reason why we have gendered lens support. But you did hear Dawn say that, when we first started this organization, our loans required signatures. Some of the financial institutions still required signatures of their husbands. And the world has changed. But the one stat that I hold on to still is that in BC, the number of women-owned small and medium-sized businesses is still at 39%. Now, if you're like me, when you first hear that number, you're like, 39, that's pretty good. I thought we were at like 25, and yes, the national average 4 years ago when the government first started was at 17. It's about 21%, so BC is higher. We're at 39%. And so there is a celebration in the fact that we're the second, largest cohort of women-owned businesses. But I think of a book that I made our team read recently called Wolfpack. And the author there, Abby Wambach, says in it that we hold ourselves back from true gender equity because we get overly grateful. We say thank you before the work is done. And what we really need to do is say, we need to be grateful, yes, that the number is growing and supports like ours exist, but we need to be grateful and demand what is right. And so it's not just the right thing to do when the federal government created the West funding 4 years ago in order to advance gender equity, to try to increase the number of women-owned businesses to that 50%. It was the right thing to do. But it also, by reaching that 50%, it means that we can also add up to $150 billion to the Canadian GDP. So it isn't just the right thing to do. It's when we have full participation of women in the economy, in ownership of businesses, we can then also add to the GDP, but also all these other stats that talk to any of my team members. I don't have the time to share all of them, but from social impact to the way women run companies to all of those other things to the mentorship circles that we create, all of that is the reason we cannot let our foot off the gas. So then I'm asked, the next question is then why funding for mentorship? You have volunteers, you guys are a nonprofit. Why do you need funding for this? So I go back to my friend Abby, who's not really a friend, but I follow her on Twitter, so she feels a bit like a friend. The grateful and, again, the work's not done. Part of the reason we still need the funding for organized programs like ours, yes, mentors still need to do the organic stuff that we're talking about, still need to reach out. The organized programs bring awareness to mentoring to a world of brand new entrepreneurs, to entrepreneurs in intersectional, diverse groups that we haven't been able to fully reach yet. Organized programs give us the communication dollars, give us the partnership dollars to be able to make sure that mentorship gets given to all communities coming up in supporting women entrepreneurs. The other side of it is that organized programs like ours train mentors. And our mentors, and those of you that are mentors, you're givers. You feel a responsibility to pay it forward. You're looking to give a part of yourself to oftentimes strangers when we throw you into groups. And so our training teaches mentors how to hold this space and container with boundaries safely so that they can continue to give in a way that doesn't deplete them, in ways that protects the energy of their being able to run their own businesses. And that training is constantly evolving. As we learn more, we train differently. And so we need the funding for our trainers, for our skills development, our mentoring staff that end up hand curating, interviewing, curating the groups together to make sure the matches were done properly so that you get the mentor that you need in the moment of your business. So that's another reason. And lastly, I will get off the funding piece. Part of it too is data. Organized programs like ours are responsible for collecting data. And as a person that was in communications before, I absolutely love data. I had no idea how much work goes into collecting data until I joined our team. And part of the reason we collect the data is to constantly remember where the gaps are and where we need to evolve to, where some of our successes are, like the numbers that I had given you, so that we can constantly move the dial forward and use the data to continue to find the gaps and evolve our program. And so my call to action to you is very simple today. It is really our hashtag, We Grow Together. WeBC is looking to be the connector of all women business owners across BC. And if you're unsure of where to direct them, if your organization can't support them, direct them to us. We will meet the entrepreneur wherever they're at. And you might be thinking, are you superheroes? And no, we're not. WeBC doesn't serve every entrepreneur at every level. That's not what I'm asking. What I'm asking is that when you direct them to us, we are the connector. Because around the room today, what you will see is 55 and growing organizations that WeBC is partners with. Businesses that make it their business. They're nonprofits that support women business owners, that support entrepreneurs in different ways and gaps that we don't support in different stages and levels that WeBC doesn't. But we are the connector to them. And the doorways that an entrepreneur comes in can be different. And so they connect their entrepreneurs that need our services to us. So I couldn't get off this stage without thanking some of them. And I know I'm going to forget some, and I'm so sorry, but some of the names that come top of mind, the Better Business Bureau hosting our Vancouver event, Viatech hosting our Victoria event, Small Business BC, Futurepreneur, the Forum, SDEBC, Minerva, the Discovery Foundation about that mentoring program I was saying, the BDC, I see you over there, universities across the province, the development trusts across all our regions, the chambers of commerce across every community, throughout our rural and remote communities, the community futures, the tech accelerators like Accelerate Okanagan, like Viatech and the Hubspace and many more throughout our province, the export navigators, and the credit unions and the other financial institutions, and specifically Vancity out of Vancouver, who has done a specialized mentorship and skills development support for their clients as well. We could not have done this without our partners. We don't want to do this without our partners. So thank you so much to our partners, our ongoing friends and partners in the ecosystem who really understand why gendered lens support is needed. We grow together for that. So thank you to our partners. We grow together also means our mentors continue to organically mentor and champion that I was talking about. Thank you for staying on our Rolodex, even if you're not chosen each year, to mentor if there isn't a business of that specialty that needs it. To the mentees in the room here that might not feel like you're ready yet, but when you are, to take that leap, to pay it forward, think of us, sign up to be a mentor. And to every person in this room, don't forget about the wave. If you are the individual that maybe is a brand new business and found out about this event and now sitting in a chair thinking, what have I done? Sign up. And if you're not ready for mentorship, take a look at our website. Join wherever you're feeling comfortable and see what else is out there, because the ecosystem will blow your mind away. And to each of you in the seat, yes, obviously, by all means, share about WeBC, but even more so than that, our dollars are very powerful. You have a choice every single day when you buy, to buy from a woman entrepreneur. If you're in organizations that buy, put your hand up and say, have we thought about curating from a woman entrepreneur? Your dollars are very, very powerful, and we need to start to move the pendulum a little bit further over before it can get into the middle. The other thing is to nominate businesses for awards. Small Business BC is having their awards soon. Chambers of Commerce are always having awards. There's networking groups within different communities that have their awards. When you nominate businesses for awards, you give them the visibility and oftentimes, without realizing, the confidence to continue on. Those of you that are entrepreneurs know that we have yo-yos all the time, that the road is so not straight and they're not all dress up and celebrate days. And so sometimes the award will come through on a day that you thought you were going to throw in the towel. So think of all the ways, and of course, social media like share and whatever else is out there now, to do that. And to round up, lastly but definitely not finally, I want to just say that there's another set of really huge giants. I stand up here. I am the CEO that is up here, but really I am on the giants' shoulders of my board, my staff, the ambassadors, and even employees that try to retire, and we rope them back in to this room. On the eve of International Women's Day, I celebrate being so lucky to work with all of you to bring this event, but to work daily on a daily basis to do this impactful work to serve women entrepreneurs. So on that note, I just want to say cheers to 15 years, to mentors, to mentees, to everyone in this room. We're here to celebrate. Thank you so much. So back to you in the communities, those of you that are online, in a few minutes, we're going to have our Kelowna panel magically appear here, and we will continue on with the live stream. Enjoy the rest of your event in the communities. Thank you. So, come on up. You can jump or take. Okay, so you have a treat ahead of you here. This is probably my favorite, you know, the work that we do day to day, it's the stories that keep me motivated. And so we wanted to make sure that we have the video, obviously, but there are some deeper pieces of the stories that we want to be able to share with you. So we have here, I'm just going to introduce one of you so that you can introduce the rest. Kathy Burrell. So Kathy Burrell is WeBC staff extraordinaire. She's in both our client services as well as a mentor and a facilitator. Kathy is, I don't know if you guys know the word Barba Papa, but it used to be this cartoon that people could, you know, mold into whatever, and you are that for us. And so thank you so much, Kathy, for raising your hand to do this and for hosting the group today. So I'd love for you to introduce the panel. Thank you.
Thank you, Shauna. I only have a very small piece of paper, so I will let these wonderful women entrepreneurs introduce themselves. As Shauna was saying, I work at WeBC, sometimes in client service, sometimes facilitation, sometimes somewhere else, but I was a retailer for 18 years, and when I closed my store in 2008, that was the first thing that I did was volunteer with WeBC, and I was matched with what I will describe as a girl, because I felt like an old lady after 18 years in business, and this girl just made me whole. It was unbelievable, and I've mentored ever since, so I know you all have exactly the same story. So I will just start at the end with, because we just met, Stephanie? Stephanie, shoot the puck.
My name is Stephanie Cadet, and I am co-owner of Umami Crave the Fifth, which is a food brand that you may or may not be familiar with. I co-partner that with my sister-in-law, Joanna, who is in the front row, but camera shy. And we have been in business for almost 5 years, and we have about 7 gluten-free and vegan products that are making their way to retailers across the West, mostly BC, but we're getting there.
Wonderful, thank you. Alicia, you're next.
My name's Megan.
Megan, we're going to do this in order. You're next. Megan, Alicia, go ahead.
That's okay. My name is Megan Hughes. I am the proud owner of Cottage Quilting. I have been the owner of Cottage Quilting for 10 years now. And I giggled when they said, "Can you introduce your business in one sentence?" So I thought to myself, if I didn't put any punctuation in it, perhaps. So I like to think of ourselves as we are not only retailers of product, we are retailers of knowledge. So we sell products, we sell fabric and sewing machines to ladies that are interested in quilting and sewing, but we also sell knowledge and community. So our goal is to establish that quilting bee environment, women supporting women every day. So we take a group of ladies and we turn them into a community. So for me, WeBC is just a natural area to be, and I feel blessed and very lucky to be a part of the group, and it is part of me through and through, completely.
Thank you, Megan. That was beautiful. Alicia, sorry, I cut you off. I called you something wrong. Go ahead.
Well, I'm Alicia. I am the owner and founder of Chickpeas, which is a zero-waste refill store in Kelowna. I opened it in June of 2020, so a little bit of a tumultuous time, but it's been the most amazing experience. Very similar. We try to have a community of sustainability superheroes, and I'm super proud that of all of the women-owned businesses that we get to support under our roof, including Umami down the way there. And yeah, being a mentor with WeBC has been such an incredible experience, and I'm so grateful to be sitting up here with all these lovely ladies.
Great, thank you very much. So the first question is up to you how you want to answer, but basically it can be either how did you decide that a mentor was going to be something or that you wanted to do, like to get a mentor. Otherwise, how did it affect your business? Like, what did having a mentor mean to you? And anyone can go.
I can go first because I'll talk forever, so do cut me off. It's okay. I was a former project manager in my previous life and then had children. And for me, work is always work. It's not a 9-to-5 job. So when my husband wanted to move to Kelowna, I was like, sure, we can, move to Kelowna, but we're going to have to buy something because that's just how it goes in Kelowna. We moved to Kelowna, we purchased Cottage Quilting, and WeBC, it was WEC at the time, was putting everything out there. And I'm like, well, I really have zero idea how to run a business. I'm 34 years old, have young children. I can do this, no problem. So I was lucky enough to get a one-on-one mentor, and she's here today. And I won't get emotional, but I attribute my success to her. And then when things started to grow, then they opened up their peer mentoring, because it was 10 years ago, and they put us into, they're like, do you want to do this? I'm like, yup, sign me up. The more knowledge that I could get from the women around me, the better. And it was a safe environment. I could say, today, I hate my life. I don't know why I'm doing this. I don't know why I'm here anymore. And someone would say, oh, it's okay. That was my day yesterday. But you know how I survived? I did this. And I went, oh, okay. So I can do this. So the more people that I had in the room saying, you can do it, and we're going to do it together, is what made me successful, I think. It's what made me confident. And then when they opened up another peer group, I'm like, let's see what these 8 ladies have to say. I think I went through 3 or 4 peer groups, just picking the knowledge of those people. I'm still friends with some of them today. Then I got approached and said, do you want to be a mentor? I was like, yeah, I totally do. I'm now confident that I think I could share my information and I could share my knowledge. And I actually learn just as much from my mentees as I do from them learning from me, I think. Because they'll say something and I'm like, ooh, I should practice what I preach. That's a really good idea. So let's go back and do that again. So Women's Enterprise and their entire program is invaluable. Completely invaluable, I think. If you use it, embrace it, and don't be afraid of it.
Beautiful WeBC, beautiful WeBC.
WeBC, WeBC.
Lovely. Anybody else?
Joanna and I don't recall how we actually came to apply for a mentorship or to be a mentee, but I've been a nurse for over 30 years. If people knew nothing, if anybody knew nothing about running a business, I'm the poster child. Joanna, however, she had done some catering. She's run successful businesses, and when she asked me if I wanted to do this, I thought, well, okay, I don't know what I'm doing. Some days I still feel that way because there are things that really... Anyway, when we did apply, they kind of had a little bit of a hard time to find somebody that was a food producer, but lo and behold, they found this girl that had been making kombucha. And that was Alicia Height. So it was during the pandemic that we had our relationship, and we've become really, really good friends. But I think personally, it was like, well, here's somebody that's doing it, and like if she can do it, we can do it. And she was the push that we needed to take that step, to write that business plan. And money, well, there's people besides the bank that'll help you with money, like just a total wealth of knowledge. And we like to say that we gave birth to our babies at the same time. She opened in June of 2020, and we built our production facility and ran the first round in December of 2020. So we've kind of grown together, and when things go sideways, we're still there, and we celebrate the wins too. So it was really kind of neat that we both got to sit here today.
That's a great story.
So I was invited to become a mentor. I think it was at the end of 2019. I had just sold my kombucha business, and I was in this in-between. I knew Chickpeas was going to open, but I didn't know when. It was just a few ideas past the paper napkin, and I was matched up with these 2 amazing ladies, and honestly, it was such a beautiful experience. We created a beautiful friendship out of it, and it was very much symbiotic. Like, they would share information with me, I would share information with them, and we both had really amazing strengths that we brought to the table, and now 3+ years later, we're still, really good friends both in our industries and outside of that as well. And yeah, I mean, I love the first year of a startup. Like for me, when there's small fires to put out and things are changing all the time, branding's changing, like that's the time that I really thrive. Like I love it, but I can't keep opening businesses so I can be in that first year of business. So
It'd be like getting married over and over and over.
But being a mentor allows me to do that and to help businesses that are in that first crazy year and to support them in the ways that I knew how. And it just worked out that, these girls are putting delicious salad dressing in bottles, and I had put stuff in bottles before. So we had this sync, but yeah, it's been a pretty amazing experience.
That's great. I mean, a lot of people don't realize, when I started mentoring, it was only one-to-one. And then when the mentoring group started, the interesting thing that I remember hearing from the mentoring coordinator was, make sure you let everyone know that the women around the table, and during COVID, of course, it was on the screen, are in non-competing businesses. And again, listening to the three of you talk, you just realize how women don't necessarily compete. Like, we're not out to kill each other. What we're there to do is recognize our differences, our strengths, and build on that. So, if you've ever thought of mentoring in a group and thought, oh, I should apply, but, my business, I'm not sure. No, it's really trust-wise, I found that our groups were just like that. Everybody is super supportive, and not in a, gee, I love you way, but more of, I love your business, and I will help you however I can. So, wonderful. So, next question would be, could any of you suggest a reason why someone in the audience or someone would want to have a mentor? In business, they've just started, they're thinking about it. Why? Why a mentor?
I'll go first. I think everybody should get a mentor because we have so much self-doubt all the time. When I started cottage quilting 10 years ago, I called my mentor in tears and said, oh my gosh, what did I do? I'm working 20 hours a day and I feel like a duck. I'm super cool on the top and I'm just kicking my feet like crazy. Am I crazy? Am I gonna succeed? What am I gonna do? And she was just like, you can do this. And she completely and utterly calmed me down and gave me the confidence. And she didn't tell me what to do. She actually made me reflect on myself and asked me more questions about who am I, what am I doing, why do I want to do this? So then I could reflect and say, oh, I want to do this because of this, and oh, I want to do this because I can do this. And one of the most important questions that she had asked me back then was, what's going to separate you from anybody else? Because I'm a retailer, and if anybody does retail, the yo-yo. Like, it is up, it is down, it is easy. We're like, yeah! And then we're like, oh, just kidding. It's everywhere. And so she said, what's going to set you apart? And I really, really had to think about it. I know what my demographic is. I know what I want to sell. I know what I can do. But you could go anywhere and you can buy fabric. You can go anywhere and you can buy a sewing machine. You can do it online. Anywhere, it doesn't matter. But why do you want to come to cottage quilting? Why do you want to come see me? Well, you want to come to cottage quilting because, and my tagline is, we're piecing together your memories. So it is about the community that we're going to give you. You're going to come see me because I'm going to help you. I had no idea about sewing when I took over my business. Secret. I was a project manager. I like systems. I like everything to be exactly where it was going to be. And that doesn't always work in business. And my mentor said, you need to have a little bit of gray. Like, you're all very black and white and you need everything to be right there. And I was like, okay. So it was the relationship and it was the conversations and it was the safe space that I could say anything that I couldn't say to my husband, that I couldn't say to my girlfriends. I couldn't tell my kids because they had no idea what I was even talking about at the time. It was just safe. So if you aren't sure, and you don't have to do it long term. I can't tell you how many times I've called my mentor, and even though she's retired, I still have her email. Just because of the confidence and the relationship that you build. So I think it is invaluable. I think everybody should sign up for it 100% of the time. And anytime a customer of ours or a client comes into our store and says, I want to start my own business, the first card that I give them is WeBC.
Megan at the very end there, and she'll be signing everybody up. So don't any of you try to get away. Mentor, 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 mentor. Yes, that's great. Thank you.
I agree with all of those things, and I also think accountability is a big piece as to why, if you're thinking about having a mentor, then definitely do it, because for my relationship with Steph and Joe, you're kind of in this flux state, everything's changing, but you just want to bite off those big pieces or those small pieces and create a bit of a timeline and know that, when we give each other our word, like I'm going to do this for you, or you're going to do this, and we're going to meet up in 2 weeks and talk about it, you're held accountable to that. And sometimes when you're just like a one-woman show, it's sometimes hard to be accountable for yourself, especially when you have children or you have a lot of other irons in the fire. And so I know that from my experience of having a mentor, not through WeBC, but also being a mentor, that really just brings it back in and just helps you keep everything straight and narrow and makes you a bit more responsible and as being an entrepreneur, which is a really important trait, I think, that you notice down the line to, there's so many things being asked of you as you are an entrepreneur, and making sure that you're organized and fulfilling all those things is, a trait to have for sure.
I echo what both of you say. I tip my hat to anybody any woman or anybody, period, that operates a business on their own, because Joanna and I say all the time, like, can you imagine doing this by yourself? So we're lucky that we have each other, but where a mentor has been vital for us is self-doubt. Like, we had never done anything this scale before. If your heart stops, I know how to try and start it again, but do I know how to balance it? I'm better now, but so to have somebody that isn't in it with you, that can, like you say, pull you out of it and say, okay, but look at this. Like, do you think you're that different from anybody else? Well, I don't know, because I've never done this before. So to have the mentor talk you off the ledge is vital in this, because like you say, some days are great and other days you think, oh boy, what have I done? But I just can't put a value on how important it has been for us. And even, as women business owners, yes, but everybody, when you start out, you feel like you're reinventing the wheel, and it's been done. You just have to know where to ask the questions, and there are people there to help you find the answers.
Yeah, great perspective. When I work client service, the number one request that I get is for mentorship, and the number two request I get is for a loan. And what I find you three ladies just said was, again, it's the idea that if you don't have that support at home, because basically your husband's not in business for himself or your partner, your kids are not any help when you're making a big decision. Basically, a mentor has been there and done that. And once you've seen, the questioning and figuring out how to learn to do it yourself, I mean, it's life-changing, and you can do it for someone else. So, I will encourage all of you who aren't sure whether you could mentor. I think you could. And one of the questions that I get asked quite a bit as well is the idea that I just want to talk to somebody about my idea, because I want to make sure it's not a stupid idea for a business. And how, that's Edith Bunker territory, So I think really we have to be supportive when it comes to the idea that no business idea is crazy or stupid. All business ideas are valid, but it's the plan that counts. And that's where a mentor can set you up, right? Okay, so let's talk a little bit about mentoring and during the pandemic. I know, we had quite a time. At WeBC, I was doing a mentoring group March 2020. And we asked everybody if they wanted their money back or if they wanted to continue with the group online. And all 8 of them said, yes, please, online. And we struggled through, and none of us knew what was going to happen. But again, what happened from it, I think, was a lot of people were even more determined to start their businesses slowly and then ramp up during COVID or after. We're still, yes. Anyway, so anybody have any comments about your mentorship experience during the pandemic and how that changed? How it made you the wonderful women you are right now?
Well, I think I just finished mentoring Steph and Joe, and I was building out my space. These guys were building out their space, so we're doing a build out when everything's locked down. And because of that, we shared our resources between each other. We ended up having the same realtor. We ended up having the same contractor, electricians, like across the board. We shared all of our trades with each other because we knew that they were already familiar with one side of the business and successful in doing so. And so I don't think either of us would have had the same type of success in building out our businesses had we not have been sharing information between the two of us during a very, very crazy time. I don't know, what do you think, Steph?
It's all a blur. It's like, when was that? But yeah, Joanna and I really, we looked to Alicia if she thinks he's good enough, he's got to be good. And her decisions were good because, we really trusted what she had done and what she was doing.
I also had never done that before, so.
Well, you fooled us. I guess for us, looking back, who'd have thought in a million years that it was going to last as long as it did? And, I think the fact that we're still standing here in business after that pandemic, it's a tribute to anybody that grew or started or worked in a business during the pandemic. But we've never done it outside of a pandemic, so we really don't know any differently. But I'm not up for going through that again. I don't imagine it's a whole lot easier when there isn't a pandemic going on, but it's a lot easier when somebody's got your back.
We were pretty lucky because we were already established. We started, when we took over the store in 2013, the lady that owned it before us had an online store, and I shut that down and said, okay, I have to learn the business first before I can just run this all willy-nilly. So I got it down just to the retail store, really learned the ins and outs of the business. And then in 2017, we had started online again. I think I'm on my 3rd POS system and my 3rd website, and I think I'm done now. So if anybody would like information on the websites, I'm happy to mentor you on that. So for us, we had already established our website. It was maybe 10% of our business, and I was like, this is not going the way I had planned. I expected it to be better. Why can't I get it going? And then the pandemic hit, and then it blew up. When we started our business, we had no employees, and we now have 5. We, of course, panicked, and we laid everybody off. And then 3 weeks later, we were like, just kidding. You have to come back to work now. And so the pandemic was good for us because we were a hobby-driven business. So people were sewing. If I never cut elastic again in my life for a face mask, I will not be sad. I can still taste it on my tongue. So for us, it was really good. I'm glad that we had the website established because there was a lot of people that were now panicking and trying to figure out what to do, where we just had to nurture and we just had to grow. So again, thanks to our mentors before, where I was like, okay, do you think we're ready to jump back into the website? Do you think we could do it? And they were like, yeah, like you got it. Just go for it. So again, that reinforcing all the time gave me that courage to do it, and it just paid off. So the pandemic was great for us. I hate to say that out loud, but it's only because I had the confidence to do it, you know? Yeah.
Well, that's the thing, you know, the confidence was built because you figured if you stumbled, there'd be somebody there to give you a little kick. So, perfect. So, let's back up just a sec. Can you tell me, all three of you, like who has been a mentee and a mentor or both? Stephanie?
We've been a mentee and a mentee only.
Okay. And
someday we would consider being a mentor.
Give Stephanie a hand, everybody. Give
no,
Stephanie
not just
a hand.
me,
Yes,
her
right there.
too.
Oh, yeah. Good. So, Stephanie, did you do a group or did you do one-on-one?
We were just one-on-one with Leisha.
Okay, wonderful.
I didn't even know there were groups, but during the pandemic, they probably weren't.
Yeah, excellent. Megan?
I was both. I started out with one-on-one, and then the peer groups opened up, and I did one peer group who I'm still friends with, I would say half of the ladies to this day. And it was nice. At first I was like, oh, I'm retail, and none of these ladies are talking about anything. They were service-based. One was HR, one was accounting, one was counseling. And I was like, what am I going to learn from these ladies? And I probably learned the most from that group. And that was probably 2 or 3 years into my business. And then at about 5 years, I came back and I was with Crow McKay when they were doing like all of their stuff, because I'm like, now I need to understand the financial side. I get it, but I don't really get it. I'm at the point in my business now that I need to make decisions and I need to do things. So there was another peer one, and I'm like, yep, sign me up. And I learned everything that I could from there again. And then I was like, okay, I'm probably good now. But every once in a while, I would still email my one-on-one mentor saying, do you think I'm crazy if I want to do this? So you never lost the other ladies. We had tons of staff. So then I would email the first girl that was in the HR thing saying, can I bounce an idea off you? Like, am I allowed to do this? And I want to reward them this way, but what's the repercussion? Like, can I just be all willy-nilly? Because I try to be professional, and I try to know the right way to do it. And I didn't want to pay anybody, so the lady in the group was able to tell me. So that relationship was super nice. And then when I got asked to mentor, I was mentoring one-on-one with ladies that were, one lady actually was a kombucha lady in Vancouver, and I'd never heard of it. So then I had to go buy it and try it. Was it good? Yes. It was very good. And then I helped another lady that was trying to do online stuff. And then I just helped another lady that is in on the island, and she's running a retail store. And when I listen to the lady running the retail store, I hear myself 10 years ago. And at the end of our relationship, I said, it's not the end. You know how to get a hold of me. And I said, I'm going to let you in on a little secret. You're going to make it. And the reason why I know is because you were me. So I said, I hope I was as good as my original mentor. But I think you should do all of them. I think you should do a one-on-one, and I think you should do a peer group, because the knowledge that you'll get out of the peer group as well is night and day compared to what you get from one-on-one. It's invaluable. I truly, truly believe that it's invaluable. You should do it.
Megan, everybody. Yeah. Give her a hand. Go ahead.
I was a mentor 2 times with WeBC. Yeah.
I also wanted to know from you ladies, like, did you ever get into a situation with a mentor that you really felt disconnected, like that there was, I mean, you touched on it, Megan, the idea of geez, what am I going to learn from a woman who, is an accountant or a bookkeeper or something else like that? Or were your experiences fine with regards to what you learned and what you expected to learn? Did you have any kind of situations where you thought, I'm not sure, and then it worked out? That's a leading question. I should be a lawyer. Oh, maybe a prosecutor. Oh, I'm not sure. Go ahead.
Because I did both, I was really nervous the first peer group that I did because I didn't think that I would learn from them, but I did, and then I went back for a second go, right? And so I like to continually learn. I like to continually improve myself. I think personally I grew, and then professionally I grew, and every couple years you change and your business changes. Like we're at year 10 now, and I'm like, okay, what's my focus now? What do I want to do now? I don't even have to go to work anymore because my staff are great, but I still have to go to work. I still have to build this business. What happens if, like what? So would I be interested in another group? For sure, but I want to have 10-year and older people. Right? Like now, what did you do? Now, where did you go? How can I learn from you again? So like every stage of my business, I always want to improve. And be it one-on-one, be it in a group. This time I think personally I'd want to do a group, only because everybody would have something different to bring to the table. So if you have that, let me know.
All right.
Yep.
Well, and for those of you that don't know, generally, WeBC has always way less mentors than we have mentees. We have women asking us every single day for a mentor, but we don't have enough women to actually mentor them. So what we've done is generally you have to be in business 2+ years in order to get a mentor. And I don't know what you feel about that. Some people say that having a mentor right when you start is the best way to go, but intriguing idea, Megan. You know, maybe we need mentors for the very beginning people. Maybe we need mentors in year 2 to 5, and then mentors from 10 to 25 years. We'll grow old together.
Your business changes so much, and you just keep growing and you keep learning. So I think there's so much value. You do create a community, and it maybe in the 10-year program, it doesn't have to be 10 weeks. Maybe it only needs to be 3. Maybe it just needs to be a network that you set up. Like there could be so many things.
Well, that's a great comment. I mean, can you explain, any of you, the difference between going to a networking group and having a mentor? Like, what would the difference be?
I think with the, sorry.
No, you go. I'll talk forever.
I think the mentor, there's a more intimate relationship there where, okay, this is where we're challenging and you can dig into a problem and you know, really work on a solution. Networking is important, and in the time that we have been in business, we have become part of a local community, be it food producers or other artisan creators, that is second to none. And you know, it's through those people that you learn about A, B, C that are good nuggets to know and that might be valuable. But I think the mentor, you know, you've got your goal there and they really help you stay focused on attaining that goal. And just further to what you said about being 10 years in, and I hope to get there, but we're in a stage right now where we're scale up. Like we've laid the foundation, we need to scale up, and that's sometimes harder to resource. And fortunately, we've built relationships with other producers that have done it, but it, you know, there may be other opportunities there to say, okay, show me somebody that's been doing this for 10 years and tell me how you got from where I am to where you are.
Yeah, no, great comment, because I think a lot of people think of mentorship as something you get at the very beginning of your business and then you're off and running yourself. But that scale-up growth period of your business is roller coastery, and usually you need more financing, a lot of things like that. And so that's a place where a mentor can say, this is what I did. This is who I talked to. This is the person that really helped me understand what it meant to go from $500,000 in sales to 2.5 million, you know. So, yeah, no, great comment. Okay, we have about 5 minutes left, and does anybody have any questions for any of the mentors, or I can just, oh, go ahead.
Well, I'm not sure. Is becoming a mentor, is there a cost to it? Is it free?
It's horrible. There's some sort of like an obstacle course you have to go through, and there's alligators. No, it's we have a page on our WeBC mentoring page where it says be a mentor or register to be a mentee. And as I mentioned before, we would offer more mentoring if we had more funding, et cetera, et cetera. But what happens is we do 2 mentoring intakes at least a year. And what happens is if you sign up for our eBlast newsletter, when the intake happens, it says, hey, potential mentors, mentees, sign up. Tell us a little bit about yourself, because as Shauna mentioned, we do try to match one-to-one mentors with a mentee that has specific issues that perhaps they can help. So yeah, no, it's very easy. And generally you get somebody calling you and saying, hey, you know, what's your business? What have you done? Blah, blah, blah. And then, you know, try to match you up with somebody who can best benefit by your expertise. Yep. Oh, well, yes, it's exactly the same except without the obstacle course. Okay, go ahead. Hi. Yeah, are you meaning that mentoring online, or, oh, for if you have an online business? Yes. Yeah. Put it in when you're registering. You just say that you're online, and basically we try and get someone that, you know, knows that world. And as with Megan, you know, she's got both. And for, yep. Yeah. So yeah. Yeah. Okay, great. Yeah. I'm pretty sure there is. In the many years I've worked for WeBC, I don't believe we've ever turned anyone down. Oh, go ahead.
I've been mentoring for WeBC quite a long time now.
Yes.
And a lot of my folks that I'm mentoring aren't in Kelowna. So
Yeah.
It's
It is. You know, that's one thing that was good about the pandemic, was everybody realized that your town wasn't just your town anymore. Your reach was farther. So. Okay, so Sean is standing here, so I need to be quiet. So I want to thank you all for being in the panel. Please give them all a great hand.